In the 76th District, challenger Mike Dillender is a leader. Mike has a distinguished military record. His opponent, Clinton Jenkins, has a substantial arrest record, bankruptcies, child support disputes, and a short, questionable stint in the U.S. Army. Mike was recently endorsed by the Hampton Roads Black Caucus, and he's also endorsed by American Veterans Vote. Let Mike Dillender tell you more about where he stands on the issues.
I'm not willing to sit back and take it while career politicians are squandering my children's future, all of our children and grandchildren's future, and not really trying to solve problems. They're just throwing money out there to win votes, to win their next election. That's all exactly they're doing. I'm not willing to sit back and just take it while the Constitution of the United States, which I spent more than a quarter of a century protecting and defending, is being attacked every day. I'm not willing to sit back and just take it while my faith, which is biblical Christianity, is being assaulted by a bunch of fools in Richmond and D.C. So I'll confess to you tonight, I'm madder than hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And that's exactly why I run. I got on the phone. I didn't know I had a mutual friend through military connection with Daniel Gade. I talked to Daniel after things didn't turn out how we would have liked to him in November. And Daniel looked at the demographics in this district and said, Mike, we don't have anybody running on the GOP side. Let me introduce you to a friend of mine, Miller Carey. I met with Miller the next day. He introduced me to Emily Brewer. I found out that I wasn't going to have a Republican primary challenger. It didn't look like. And then one thing led to another, and here's the direction that we're headed in. But where I stand on the issues is, I'll just say I'm a Republican. I'm somebody who's pro-business. I'm somebody who's pro-military/veterans. And I'll put in the same categories those unsung heroes, police officers, law enforcement, all of our 911 responders. We will make sure that we always have their back. And I talk to a lot of the Suffolk police officers all the time, the fire responders, and we're going to make sure that they're well taken care of, them and their families. But aside from those things, I'm somebody that's going to protect the Constitution, and I'm pro-First Amendment, obviously. I'm pro-Second Amendment, and I'm somebody that's going to advocate for election integrity. It's not making it harder for people to vote. What we want to do is make it harder for people to cheat. As I travel around Suffolk, I've really focused on 4 key issues. And number 1 is the economy. Number 2 is education. I think there's a lot of work that we could do in the Suffolk public school systems. And there is a critical gap. If you look at the standard scores there, just pre-COVID and post-COVID, we need to close the gap with underprivileged children. And then I've talked about transportation and infrastructure issues. I know that a lot of people in Suffolk deal with ongoing drainage and floodage issues, and I've got some ideas on how to fix that. And then finally, because of what Susanna does, I have some ideas on how to make healthcare more accessible and more affordable to everybody. I can do a deep dive on any of those issues or talk to those at length. I got invited to an organization called the Hampton Roads Black Caucus, and turns out Clinton Jenkins wasn't planning on being there that night, but he heard that I was speaking. And somebody texted him, and that meeting was being held in Suffolk. He ends up showing up, came in with his tail tucked between his legs, and after about my interaction with that organization for a couple monthly meetings and also filling out a survey and everything, I ended up getting endorsed by the Hampton Roads Black Caucus over Clinton Jenkins, which I think is a pretty powerful statement. Of course, now some of the Democrats in this region are trying to discredit the organization and say, well, that's just a Republican organization, which they're pushing back on because they are a nonpartisan organization. They have endorsed Democrats. Youngkin is the first Republican governor that they've ever endorsed. So I've been to speak at places like Metropolitan Baptist Church. I have been to speak at the Suffolk Ministry Alliance, and I've built bridges where Clinton Jenkins has managed to tear them down. As recently as last night, I went to Lake Kennedy, where I understand that's where he's from, and I spoke at a Civics League meeting. Again, somebody texted him and said, you need to get over here. So everything that we're doing right now, everything that he's doing is a reaction to what we're doing. I'm expecting to win this race.
Mike Dillender deserves your vote in the 76th District. Vote early or on November 2nd.